Joining our conversation to help us make sense of it all, Neil Katyal, former acting U.S. Solicitor General, Georgetown University professor, and lucky for us, an MSNBC contributor. Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
Tell us about these investigations. And I have to tell you, I spoke to a Trump ally last night who said that he saw as a motive for Donald Trump's refusing to concede and going along with what he thought even Trump would see as some of Rudy's just madness with the hair dye leaking down his face. Trump hates a bad TV performance. And it was really one of the nicest things you could say about Rudy yesterday was that it was a bad TV performance, is a grift, that he is fundraising for his legal defense and that he will face audits and lawsuits and investigations into his businesses and his finances for the rest of his life. Is that accurate, you think?
Yes, I'm sure. And like so much else that Trump does, it's actually counterproductive. So, Nicole, you've got both state and federal investigations. And at the federal level, Trump has been protected so far by a get out of jail free card. As a sitting president, the Justice Department has said he can't be indicted. And that's why even though the Mueller report issued found 10 different instances of federal crimes, they said we can't indict a sitting president. But all of that expires in exactly 60 days. So you've got a federal investigation. And then you have, as you were saying, the state investigation by Cy Vance. And there again, Trump tried to block that investigation, saying he was a sitting president, lost that unanimously in the Supreme Court. So that's moving forward. So now you've got Trump trying to do all of this ridiculousness around the election, I do think with an idea to try and raise his war chest to defend himself. But it also actually perversely makes it really hard for a future Biden attorney general or for a New York prosecutor to look the other way, because even if Trump had hoped to avoid criminal prosecution, his post-election behavior basically guarantees it. I mean, you've got a guy who's right now literally committing, if not crimes, pretty darn close, even when he's being forced out the door in terms of conspiring with these Michigan canvassers or these state legislators. It is a federal crime. It's a state crime to try and take someone's right to vote away. And that is what Trump is doing. Indeed, he's trying to perpetrate the largest act of disenfranchisement in our lifetime. Hundreds of thousands of votes he's trying to throw out. That is, if he's conspiring to do it, and it sure looks like he may be, a crime.
Okay, let me pull aside the federal crimes and focus on that, because it sounds like what you're saying. I mean, and I also want to dispel this notion that Joe Biden has to decide whether or not to prosecute Donald Trump. That would be a continuation of the way Trump has handled prosecutions. Isn't it the fact that whomever Joe Biden selects as an attorney general will, I mean, if their crimes were committed, they'll be investigated and prosecuted, full stop. Joe Biden won't have anything to do with it. Aren't we kind of looking at this question of what federal criminal exposure Donald Trump has in the wrong way?
So 100% I agree with you. Joe Biden really has always respected the Justice Department. He knows exactly how it operates, and it doesn't operate with the person in the White House telling the Justice Department what to do. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to appoint a great attorney general, and she or he will make that determination. What I am saying is I think it's actually really hard to look the other way, even if you want to, even if you want to say the country should move on or something. It's hard to give a hardened criminal a pass. And that is how Trump is behaving.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.